Antonio from distance. Antonio with a blast from range to level it for Jamaica. A goal out of nothing for the Reggae Boyz.
Front, second half starts. Fine work here. Nicholson! Jamaica have a lifeline. How about this? It's a giveaway. Low again. How about the presence that he has brought onto the field?
Antonio versus Nicholson. Who should Jamaica start in Copa America? It's time to settle this, so let's talk about it. Welcome to Premier 7. I am your host, Rayon Nelson, coming to you with a video of importance surrounding two Jamaican strikers in an Antonio and a Nicholson. Jamaica is going to play against Mexico this coming Saturday, and we have to settle the score. We have to ensure that Mexico is put to the sword. And before I even talk more on the video, I have to give a warning to Mexico. War start, Mexico, prepare the mind, it's a time at a time. Feed the fight, Jamaica, have to shine. Remember, revenge are the sweetest reward in the life. The FIFA rankings, Jamaica, have to climb. I work very hard to get things right. Success comes from a plan. We just work on the striker, we lead the line. Alright, so the topic is Antonio versus Nicholson. Who should Jamaica start in Copa America 2024? We all know that irrespective of how decent a team is going to play, without any goals scored, then it will be impossible for us to even want to believe that our team has played well. And of course, today on Premier 7, I want to dissect this topic into 2 points. I want to basically bring across the analyzing part of the players by way of their FBREF report, using their statistical information to share a few important points, and then I will just share my own say as to who should start for the national team. But before I dive into the details surrounding the two players, people, if you are new to Premier 7, please go ahead and you know what to do. Subscribe to the platform. Turn on your notifications bell to be notified as to when the channel will be uploading a video, and of course leave a like, comment, and share the contents to other persons so that they can, be a part of the Premier 7 family. So, Antonio versus Shamar Nicholson. Let's jump into the first point surrounding the two players. And let me just start off with the man from West Ham, because let's go in alphabetical order. Everything needs to be in order. So let's surround ourselves here with the statistical information on Mr. Antonio. So you're seeing here that mostly red is being shown here for Michael Antonio. And this is the scouting report with him compared to other strikers. What stands out for Antonio? Let's start off with the positive. He's a progressive carrier. He's in the 80th percentile. Successful take on is in the 80th percentile. So that shows us here that if you give Antonio the ball, irrespective of if he's playing on a wider side as a striker or fully central as a striker, he has the capability to hold on to the ball and run with the ball. Successful take-ons that follow thereafter with Antonio, he is that player who can run at defenders, and in some cases he will be successful. Not by a case of saying 50-50, but in excess of 50% being successful. That is something that I would say it is impressive, because we need for our striker to sometimes travel with the ball, hold on to the ball, create spaces for other persons who are playing on a wider width. For example, a Cephas or a Demarai Gray or a Bobby Reed to get the ball, who can overlap by with a pass from an Antonio, and it can lead to a possible goal scoring opportunity. Thereafter, looking down below, we're seeing that Antonio, whereas blocks is concerned, defensively he can contribute to the national team. Yes, his main role as a striker is to score goals, but holistically, in events of trying to save Jamaica in an important position surrounding the game, Mexico can get a corner, and Antonio would have to come back and at least try to clear the ball from the line, because he's not the fastest striker that we have seen, but he's a player who we know can run. However, we want the faster players to be at the edge of the box for the national team or closer to the direction of Mexico, so we can hit them on the break if possible. So a clearance could be made by Antonio by his head or by his foot and give it to Cephas, who could go along the way, who could run at Mexico and try to score a goal. What if it is a 1-1 coming this game on Saturday and we need a goal? This could be the possible outcome. However, whereas the issues are concerned for Antonio, assist 35 percentile, shots on target or shots total very low, past completion, past attempt, progressive passes is not looking good here for a striker. And we need for our striker to be impressive, whereas the percentiles is shown here. Not to say that Antonio will be a bad option to start for Jamaica, but looking on his statistical representation here, so far it is not looking so good. So we can conclude to say then that Antonio isn't the best on form for the national team and for his club. I think he's going to leave West Ham as well. So with that being said, how about looking on the FBREF report of Shamar Nicholson to see if he's on the same page, or is he above, or is he below? So Shamar Nicholson, aka Bowser, that is a nickname given to the Jamaican striker, and let's see what his report shows. So progressive passes 74. That is not bad. Progressive passes is in the 70 percentile. So I think he's not the person who you can count on to make passes to his teammates. Maybe he can, but it is not the main reason for him to do. Whereas his passing attempt is concerned, is at 64, is in the 60 percentile. So it shows that he will make the attempt to make passes. And that shows that he's a player that you can utilize to build up the play. Not say he's the greatest with holding up onto the ball like an Antonio, or to take on defenders like an Antonio, but to pass the ball with his attempt is in the 60 percentile, whereas Antonio is way below even 20 percentile. So that shows that Shamar Nicholson is better in terms of making a passing attempt. So I would say then that his passing attempt will be more successful for the national team. Down below, we're seeing clearance. I spoke about Antonio needing to be a person to be in the box just in case Jamaica needs some assist. Whereas blocks is concerned, but clearance is even more important, because you can block the ball but not clear the ball. But with Nicholson, he's better in terms of clearing the ball than blocking the ball. So you're seeing some differences between the players. So Antonio will block it, somebody else will clear it, or he himself can clear it. But whereas somebody blocks it now, for an Nicholson, he will be better in clearing the ball. So he will be the person to find a frontline player better than an Antonio, right? And for aerial duels won, then we can count on him then to score goals with the head, right? And even to make an assist with the head, to clear even with the head, because he's utilizing his height and his power to help the national team in difficult situations. I think if he was a person in Burke's position against the United States, maybe we could have won that game, because he would have won that aerial duel without being the person to be backlocked to score an own goal. But no, We're looking up top here, whereas total shots is concerned, not the best, but so far so good. His recent form for Jamaica is showing that Nicholson has been scoring goals and shots creating action, 62. Not bad for a person who is compared to Antonio, who is way below standards right now. Nicholson so far has been very much impressive by way of the FBREF report. And whereas assist is concerned, it shows that this guy then can play in different positions. If you don't want to play him as a striker throughout the entirety of the game, then you can even drift him a bit to the wide or let him play as a little false nine then, making assist for his teammates who maybe overlap him again or who can be channeling through the middle whereas he can drop off a bit and make some assists. 60 percentile for Shamar Nicholson. So in that case, the FBREF report is showing us some decent information here surrounding our players. And I am impressed with some aspects of the FBREF report because it is showing me here that the players do have their strengths and their weaknesses. Now, let's dive into the final part of the video surrounding who should start for Jamaica. And in that case, I just want to bring across an highlighted point that was shared by way of myself here, Premier 7, who was featured on MG Sports TV.
Premier, what I'm saying is, Premier, this is like Antonio. See people of course in the comment section say this is like Antonio, you know.
No, no, disrespect him, you know. It's just that based on how persons were saying that the role that Shamar Nicholson would play, just in case, you know, as I think I used to say with Mexico, you know, it's like you turn up on one string, or the man will call, and let them go and run off. Because Mexico players are very quick. So I don't know why 4-4-3 has to be a disrespect. Antonio. It's just the physicality me I compare. Whereas if the Mexican players them tired, you could have put on an Antonio to play such a role as a bully type of striker. I want to say a big thank you to MG Sports TV for allowing me to be on this program again and sharing my points surrounding the topic in terms of questioning Antonio and Shamar Nicholson. Now, for me personally, I think that these two players they have different roles to play in the national team. For both of them to start, it is up for question, but one has to start above the other. And in that case, I think that based on the recent results, it is swinging more in the favor of Shamar Nicholson, who has scored in the 2 games that was being played by the Jamaica men's national team in the World Cup qualifiers. And whereas fluency is also concerned for the national team, I think Nicholson fits well in the national setup. However, for Antonio, I think it is the form that he's currently on that gives him a bit of a downward movement in regards to quality comparing to a Shamar Nicholson. Because if he wasn't a good player for West Ham over the years, I think he would have been sold very long time. So I think the form that Antonio is in is not the best in regards to his output this time around. But if he's on the best of form, then he would have been the main starter. But we cannot work with if he was. We have to work with what we have right now. We would have to work with what we're seeing and how the team basically continues on their run whenever each of the players starts. So I think Antonio can be the person who can come from the bench depending on the conditions, because I mentioned if we're going to play against Mexico, he can be used like a Lukaku type of striker who will be like a bully. When the Mexicans are tired, you can bring on an Antonio who I think even though if he gets a few chances, he more so will put across one to a teammate or put it in the back of the net. Because Antonio is a striker who on his day he will do very well. But Nicholson is being more consistent for the national team, scoring more goals. And I think if you should say, if Demar Gray isn't the best player for Jamaica right now, who would you choose? Many persons will choose a Shamar Nicholson. So it is up for question, but Premier 7 would have to be on board as usual to share the points surrounding the concerns of the two players and even on other topics of importance surrounding the world of football. So I will leave it to you now, fans. Antonio versus Nicholson. Who should start for Jamaica in Copa America 2024? they don't know anything go already. Once you comment, once you see the video, Premier 7 will be on board to respond to anything that you have to say, whether it is not so good or it is good. It is all about persons sharing their points, and it is of me to reply. So, people, thank you for listening up. Stay tuned. Premier 7 will be on board yet again with many more. Take care and goodbye for now.